Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dynamics Con session. This is a session we are jointly hosting, and I'm Lipi Sarkar. I'm helping organizations to drive efficiency in digital transformation. I also work for CloudSource, and I've written a book, and I'm co-author of the book, Building a Digital Future. I have with my guest speaker as Samit Saini, who is a solution specialist from London Heathrow Airport. So thank you again for voting for us, and obviously, thank you for Dynamics Con communities to giving us the opportunity to be in the session today. So today we are going to talk about how to empower yourself to solve business challenges. And this is a session, it's very close to my heart, and so as for Summit. We'll talk about the business challenges first, and then we will talk about how to position yourself in the organization and also in the business. Then we will talk about briefly about the Power Apps lifecycle and the governance and what helps you to empower yourself depending on wherever you are in your journey of digital transformation and in your career. And we will have a live demo of creating Power Apps with Summit. So what is today's business challenges? This has come up during COVID last 1 year. We have been working in new normals, but there are lots of different other business challenges that we have seen coming up in the industry. So uncertainty about the future, that is one of the key because we don't know what is going to happen in the new normal, what is on the other side of the business, what is on the other side after the new normal after the COVID lockdown lifts off, and we need to know how the businesses are performing. We need to know how we are going to work in the hybrid model. So there are lots of changes, there are lots of uncertainty. Monitoring the performance, now that's quite key. Up until this point in time, monitoring the performance while people are work on the site, and there might be different KPIs, there might be different targets set for every employees or the organization or the business. Now, how you are going to monitor the performance. Exploding data across all channels that is happening throughout. Whether you are buying something, whether you are trying to order something, we are doing quite a lot of things sitting at home and getting things delivered at our door. That is data, but how we are interacting with the data, that is completely different. How the organization is reaching or looking at the behavior of the customer's data, that is something organization need to prepare for themselves. But data is everywhere and it is exploding. Regulation and compliance is another area where we have built a lot of trust, and the organizations have built a lot of trust in their branding, in their awareness, and in the resilience. So we need to understand how we are going to perform in terms of, meeting the regulation and meeting the compliance across and throughout. The disruption that has happened due to COVID-19, that is another key business challenge, and a lot of new business models have come out during this pandemic time due to disruption. Then we have on the right hand side is about the rising customer expectation, which is happening because now we are more time time capable of doing everything at our fingertips using the apps or using lifting up the phone. But a lot of things, a lot of the business models have changed, and we are getting a lot of different areas of lifestyle. We have changed our lifestyle, we have done different things, we have been ordering different things, so it's expectations have been rising throughout. Understanding the customer behaviors, their pattern and perception, that is something organizations have been doing throughout. But in this pandemic time, I think we need to, since the data is exploding everywhere, we have to do it differently. Due diligence to the data differently, capturing the data, reading the patterns differently. And finally, the customer service. The organization have been reaching out to customers. Do we have a 360-degree review of the customers? Do we know about the customers touching the organization at every point? Do we have all the details about the customer and how we are delivering the service with speed and agility? So if we sum up this business challenges, and if we take this business challenges and keep that going, let's think about how to manage that and what is slightly changing the view about the digital maturity, slightly thinking from the business challenges. What exactly we are going to cover is how we are assessing the digital maturity. Now, here I have been showing about a graph, and the graph is on the horizontal axis. You have the operational efficiency, which is moving from traditional to transformed, and in the customer experience, we are moving from traditional to transformed. if if you think about stage one, some organizations and have moved their digital assets to cloud, moving the existing infrastructure to the cloud and experimenting with the new encore applications in the cloud to save IT operating costs. This is where we say it's more towards the traditional view. Then, if you slightly take a different view, and which is stage two, where we are talking about digital experience, optimizing the current business model and moving the core business data and processes into a cloud based business application to achieve the operational excellence. Some organization might position in that stage two. Or if you want to go further transformation, if you want to see the digital transformation actually reaping the benefit, then you can create a new business model and use the knowledge of your cloud based infrastructure, processes, and data to create new organizational solutions. By that, you can be reaching your customer through a different channel, maybe different model, different business model, different ways of working. So you can only understand where you are currently and where would you want to move in future. So let me ask this question to Samit, and I would encourage you to ask this question. So when in terms of where do you see yourself? So Samit, where do you think Heathrow Airport is in this current digital maturity scale?
I would say we're still learning, but I would say we are, in a way. I think we're in digital stage three definitely. We're creating new
Brilliant.
business models. We are looking at cloud based, but we're also looking at supporting our colleagues as well and bringing those legacy apps into cloud. So that is, I would say, definitely stage three.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So if you think about that, you might not position, your organization might not be even stage one. There might be cases like that. But think about if you're not in any of the stages, think about where would you like to be in future. So if we have defined your target, so let's say you have defined your target to move your business of efficiency or optimize the business process or improving the customer experience, you can only define your own target. And that could be done within the organization, talking to different business users or talking to different business units, and you can define what is your target state. Now, once you have defined your target state, then you have to think about how do you get there and what are the key drivers for change, whether the key drivers for change is COVID or disruption or improving the customer experience. Once you have identified that, maybe there are certain items that you need to prioritize that is quite high in your priorities list that you want to achieve, maybe quick wins for your business. Then moving on from the drivers for change, then you need to execute the change, and executing the change yourself or maybe with the business partner, engaging a delivery partner, getting ready for change, defining the guiding principles. These are another area you have to think about. And finally, you have to think about how you're going to drive the innovations, identifying the key skill sets within the organization, getting ready for, if you're thinking about technology as an enabler, think about a power platform, how you can bring that innovation, use that innovation in continuous improvements. So you can find more details about that in my book, Building a Digital Future. Now, I want to talk about the roles and responsibilities here a little bit more. Some roles in the organization are leadership team. Obviously, there are executive team, stakeholders. There are different stakeholders from different business units. And then the steering committee, whether it could be audit related or whether it could be external, internal, you might be having a steering committee. Then a project sponsor, a business director, program manager, product owner, business case owner, business analyst, business user, data owner, data analyst, service delivery owner. So this is on the left-hand side. I've listed all the different types of roles that you might see within an organization. Now, when you want to talk about a different kind of digital transformation or using a technology, then you might form a project team within the organization. And again, the project team might be comprising of the roles that I have listed here, like project director, project manager, solution architect, technical architect, business product owner, business data owner, functional consultant, service delivery manager. Now, where do you see yourself within these roles? Obviously, if it's in a project, you might identify yourself either sitting within the data area, you might be sitting within the business, or you might be already in the leadership team. So wherever you are, and it is your roles and responsibilities in terms of looking for the future and how you can engage and how you can empower yourself further, right? Now, this image is all about, you might be having a project team and that might be your project, but you might be using the similar kind of resources who will be sharing their skills in different projects. And depending on an organization, if it's a global organization, there might be multiple projects going on. If it's a small to medium scale organization, again, there might be, depending on how many projects going on at the same time in parallel, there might be even more crunch on the resources, on your roles and responsibilities. So hence, I would like you to think about, the questions that you might think, where do you position yourself, whether in the business, whether it's a project champion. So keep that in mind while we see the demo coming up. The other thing I wanted to understand from you is more about your knowledge about the business. Now, if you are sitting in a, let's say, thinking about the business or the data, you might be knowing your business processes quite well. You might need the sub process, need to know more about the sub processes. You might know about the in and out of scope that you're thinking about in future, whether it's a 6 months, 1 year, or 18 months. Now, if it is that area, you have the basic knowledge or you have the master details knowledge about your system, about your processes. Then think about the digital leadership. It's a vision, customer focus. Again, if you're in already in the leadership team, it's more about vision and customer focus. Then how you're setting up your KPIs. Have you identified what are you measuring? Are you measuring the cost or are you measuring the behaviors as well at the same time? There are also risk factors we need to think about. The risk factors could be loss, resistance, or purpose, or decision makers. These are also other key factors that are operating quite well within the organization or might not quite well within the organization. There might be culture difference. So on the right hand side, once you know what is your key strengths and weaknesses, then you need to think about preparing your organization for any kind of success. What is the key strategy, how you're defining your strategy, how you're measuring or how you're refining, how you're changing the mindset of the people, what are the key strengths of your people, or where are the gaps, and how do you empowering your own workforce to make further decisions and enriching the processes within your business. What is the culture like within your organization? It's a famous saying, well, culture is strategy at breakfast by famous guru Peter Drucker. Now, in terms of if you need to think about how you want to change your culture, because the organization culture might be something already there. If you're already using Power Platform, and then how to bring in that culture, how to empower people, how to train people. Data is our asset. We know the data of our organization, of our business, how to use that data, how to make that asset and use that data to take further informed decision. And now data is quite important because I want to touch upon a little bit more about the predictive as well as the reactive. So the data might be, you can use the data in terms of identifying what is a forecast. You can also measure data, thinking about your pipeline, your forecast, and also about what you can change in future. Um, so there are a lot of emphasis now going into the data, and the governance is more about your organization governance, what you need to look at, looking at future, and how you need to put the guiding principles in place. And it could be related to the people, process, technology. You might need governance everywhere. And again, I would like to think about what kind of measures you have in place currently and where do you want to see change in the readiness section. I would like to hear more questions from you when you find out what exactly is going on in your organization. Now, these are the different type of codes I wanted to bring your attention to because strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection. And that is what the whole summary of digital transformation is. So because it's not a project, it has to, continuously improve. It's a lot of thing goes on in a digital transformation. It's culture, it's business, it's processes. So how to bring everything together and plan for a continuous improvement. Then we have seen different industry leaders talking about digital transformation, talking about cloud computing, talking about Power Platform. So I would like to highlight digital transformation is a question of when and not if, said head technology and digital transformation from KFC and Pizza Hut. I would like to talk about Summit. What Summit said about to Power Apps is gives everyone the ability to build apps. Completing a project like that gives people a sense of accomplishment. It certainly has for me. So we would hear more from Summit, but exactly that's quite enriching and quite powerful. And this is how you can empower your organization, team, your people, your whole workforce, really. Without further ado, Samit, if you want to talk about your day-to-day job and you want to talk about how you started your journey, and let's put more around the power apps. So over to you.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's a pleasure to be here. But yeah, so my journey started a couple of years ago, where when we got introduced with the Power Platform. But before that, I've been working as a security officer for 14 years, 13 to 14 years, and that was my day-to-day job, asking passengers, "Could you please remove your liquid laptops and iPads?" Now, I absolutely loved what I was doing because I saw my dad doing that, so I wanted to join in his footsteps. And then we had a business change manager, and her name was Komal, and she was introducing us to the whole Office 365 applications. And then she said, "You know what? These applications are not just available for people in the offices, but anyone can use these tools." I said, "Okay, this is amazing." So that same day, I went home, looked at all these applications available to us: Microsoft Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate. Now, when I clicked on Power Automate and I went to the Learn section, there was a blog that says you can create an app in 5 minutes, and that's the demo I'm going to show you how easy it was to create an app. But for me, it was like, okay, how easy it is to actually create an app in 5 minutes, and that's what I did. I followed the blog. I thought, wow, this is amazing. I felt like a superhero. I created my first app, and so now I feel like I can change the opportunities that we have at Heathrow, removing Excel spreadsheets and paperwork into an app. Once I did that, and I joined the IT team, they introduced me to the IT team and said, "Would you like to be part of our team?" I said, "I would love to." But I've a lot of flaws, like I'm dyslexic, and I have trouble reading and writing. And the great thing was that the manager at the time said, "We're not looking at that. We're looking at experience and you taking the time to learn the stuff and show us what the possibilities are." Now that inspired me to share my knowledge to other people. And as you can see in the PowerPoint deck, is that I wanted people who are like me, who've got ideas but don't know how to bring those ideas to reality. And now, learning about the Power Platform, we can bring our ideas into reality now. And those people who have no IT background, like myself, are actually building apps now. They're bringing their ideas into reality, and that's what I want to teach them. And it was absolutely great to see each and one of them bring their solutions into reality. And that was, for me, a great change for me. So
So
that
I would
was.
like to ask a question here, Samit. You mentioned about moving from your day-to-day job to moving into IT. Uh, and how hard or difficult was it for you?
It was, I mean, if you tell me to build an app, I would build it in literally 5 minutes. But the whole office environment, that, because I've never been to that office environment before, that was a total complete change for me. But I had so much support from every single person. I used to be shy when I used to be at school. I used to be shy to put my hand up for help, but I felt so comfortable asking help when I got to the office. It was great, and where I am today is because of the support and the help I got there. So I'll always push for support when you work in an organization and you're pushing things like the Power Platform and encouraging those people to adopt this platform is to support, because I got that support and my aim is to support others as well at the same time. And with that, we were able to share that knowledge to over hundreds of people, because Microsoft do an amazing job of doing app in a day sessions, and you can download the pack yourself and you can teach internally as well. But if you go to the website, you can go to the webinar and learn about the app in a day session. So our aim was to empower not just me and people who have ideas, but show what the capability of Power Apps is and how we can utilize it at Heathrow. So we have a Power Apps life cycle where, we start with the idea. So we want to hear from, the people who've got these ideas, what kind of idea it is, and how we can help and support them. Now, some ideas, they might not look at the root cause. So that's why we look at these ideas, that it might not be a Power Platform solution, but this is why it's so great to interact and give that support. And once they share that idea, we review it. So to see, okay, this works well. What's the time frame could be like? What kind of support does it need? What kind of application does it need? Does it need more applications and so on? And then we design it. So when it comes to design, we look at wireframing it, how it should look and feel, and then we go to the build section. And now we help and we support those people who've got those ideas. We don't build the apps ourselves. Our aim is to empower other people as well with their ideas and bring them to reality. And that's where build comes in. And then once we've done the building, we document it, making sure that these apps are documented. So when you leave or you move to a different department, that you can actually rebuild it or fix what the previous person built. And there's so much documentation out there we give them those guidelines to make sure that each app that you create has comments and has those naming conventions. So it's really, really good to have. And we make sure we test these apps. So you pilot them and we test them and see for a week or so, just to see what was the reaction like to the people that actually need to use these apps. And it's fantastic because we do come up with more ideas. So people say, no, could you add this little bit or add that? That will make it an experience so much better. So having the mindset of thinking that I might not be using this app, but making sure that the users has a great experience. And we all share that, people have things like apps like Facebook, Twitter, those kind of applications that you don't need training guides for. So your apps that you build for the users, they shouldn't really have training guides as well. So that's our aim, is to make sure the apps are easy to use. And then we monitor to these apps. So once these apps are built and everyone's happy with it, we monitor, see how often the app gets used. If it doesn't get used, then we've got to figure out why, and then go back to the drawing board and rebuild it, just in case the reason is because of the user experience. And then we sign off the app once that's been done. And it's great, but because we don't once we signed off, we don't make sure that that's the end of it. We will review it back and say, okay, yep, great, the app's running well, and so on. And then that's it, and it's
Out
great.
here, Summit. I mean, in terms of the viewers looking at this one, and in terms of empowering themselves, obviously, now you will be doing the demo, but somebody having a knowledge about, the business, the processes, where they have lots of manual, copies or manual intervention, manual forms that they need to fill in, can they do a Power App to fulfill that problem, to that challenge, or bringing that data and show that in the dashboard how the particular business is performing or things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have, since we're using the Power Platform, we've been removing paper processes and Excel spreadsheets. And I'm going to show you an example how quickly you can build one of these within minutes. And I'll show you how this is how I started. So let me share my screen and we can go from there. Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick demo of how you can create an app less than 5 minutes. So you have a SharePoint hub site right here, like you've seen here, and we're going to start creating the columns. So what you need to do is start with list. You go from here, and what we're going to do is you can either have export previous Excel data into the SharePoint site, or start from blank list, and we're going to go from blank list. So you go from here, and just give it a title where the name of the SharePoint site, where the data is going to be held. So let's call it test data for now. Press and then create. Normally you would add a description. And when this loads up, you're able to create the columns. So for example, right here, if you go to add column, we're going to create this single text and then do comment. Let's do location and save, and then you do another one. Let's create another one and say reason, save. And just like Excel, you're just creating columns so where the data can go to. And the last one, we can do comments like so, and save. Okay, now you've got 4 columns here, and all I need to do now is go to integrate, click on Power Apps, create an app, and I can call it, let's call it test app for now. And normally people would say, okay, what are you trying to build? And they say, I want to build this. We show them this is how, what you want to build it. This is how it can be built. So they can do it themselves.
What are the key skill sets anybody should have to create the Power Apps?
So to be honest, like myself, you don't need an IT background to do this because this is using low code, no code applications. So if you have an idea or you need help, you can build this within seconds, like I'm showing you now. As you can see, there's a template already created for you just by creating the columns. There's a browse screen, detail screen, and an edit screen. So if I press the play button here and press the plus button here, the columns that we created is all available for us now. So I could put title, say location issue. Can put, let's put terminal 5, reason, area not clean, village. And all you need to do is press the tick button and that's it. And then that data will go straight to the SharePoint list. And then you can see here, if I refresh it, and then there's information, the data right there. Now, if I want to create a Power BI dashboard, all I need to do now is go to integrate, click Power BI, visualize the list.
It's awesome, Samit. I think I can see the data now. So does it mean that any data that is lying around, and obviously we don't have any system to present this data, you can create a Power App and present this data for any kind of stakeholder to look at it and make some decisions?
Absolutely. And that's what the benefit of using the whole Power Platform, because you can build something like this with existing data and have a Power BI chart straight away. Or if you was collecting data from paper or Excel, you can have an app straight away. So you can have an end-to-end solution within minutes without using any codes. So
Brilliant.
that is the quick demo of how you can create an app and create an app within minutes.
Thank you, Samit. That was really awesome presenting in terms of bringing the data and putting that into Power BI format. So you have seen how easy it is to create a Power App. So I would like to go back to the point, if you're working in a particular business area and you know your data in and out, but you don't have a much system, it's like all in the Excel spreadsheet or maybe in the forms, you can create a quick app and present that data in a format that it is more structured data, so it helps the business to take decisions around this data. Thank you everyone for watching us, and if you might be having lots of different questions, and we are here to talk about and answer your questions. Thank you again to DynamicsCon for the opportunity for us to talk and present to you.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone who's organized this and voting for us. And again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. So, and hopefully I can hear from you and hear loads of questions from you. And can't wait. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye now. Hi, we are back live now. So happy to take any questions that you might have after watching our presentation. So I'll keep an eye in terms of what questions you might have.
Yeah, same here. I know one of the questions that people do, I'm on mute. One of the questions that people do ask me is that, do we just start creating apps straight away? And the question is, yeah, I mean, we did. I started when I first created my first app. Then I showed it. This is how we started doing the whole platform. We started learning, and when you started, like Lipi, you were presenting and asking about things like how do you get started. It's best to get everyone involved, all the stakeholders involved as well.
Absolutely, and it can be very complex because sometimes when we are talking about we have the data and the business data is around, and you might be using the data in some or other format, but and with the growing emerging technologies and emerging challenges, business challenges, you might need to see the data in a different format just to make that decision. So it's all about presenting the data, and to look forward, you need to work as a team to understand where exactly you need to go and what are the key decisions that you would like to make.
Absolutely. That's why it's when we start using the Power Platform, it's always getting those stakeholders in It's very, very important, and it's good to ask questions, even if you don't know, because this is where you. For me, what I loved about the Power Platform is that there's a huge community behind it that you can ask questions and support. Um, so it's great. It's great to see that support is out there, even if you are starting your journey. It doesn't matter what level your journey you are. There's a huge Power Platform community that you can reach out and ask, and that's what I did. That's what I did. Like when we started, I reached out and said, you know what, who's done it, who's using a Power Platform, and like I said, I'm really lucky that we have a amazing Power Platform community.
And I would like to, I mean, we did talk about, the business areas and the different kind of business challenges. There are other areas that we think of, whether the business has got the key strategic area that they need to address, and what are the key strategic objectives that they need to address. So you might get to know about this kind of vision in the company forum, or whether you are, having any kind of business meet. So identify what are the key challenges that are keeping you awake or your business really concerned about, and think about the data that you might have and whether you can marry up that data and try to resolve that business challenges by creating a Power App and trying to merge that to address those kind of strategic objective. So Samit, you mentioned about the governance control that you need to take care of even before that. So do you want to and what are the key challenges that you came across, like the team meeting? Did you do your huddles every day, or did you come up with the idea to seek different ideas that were coming through?
Yes, we had huddles, and there was in the beginning there was fears because people didn't want Power Apps at Heathrow to be like Excel. But the great thing is the difference between the Power Platform and Excel is that you don't know who's creating what using Excel. Now, with the Power Platform, you've got the central excellence that allows you to see who's building what apps, what connectors they're using, where the data source is going to, who they're sharing the app with. I mean, it's just amazing that you've got that much visualization now to see what's getting built within your organization, and whereas before, when people were using Excel, you wouldn't get that, and that was the biggest fear. So that was one of the biggest fears: is how do we not want to create millions of apps or thousands of apps, but get to see what's getting built? Then you got the central excellence. The second bit was how do you control data being connected? Again, it's great because if you're building an app for the first time and your organization is scared that, oh, I don't want it to be connected to Oracle or SQL, the only way someone can connect to that database only if they have access to it, if they got a username and password. So the controls is in place, but you always need that support as well. The support for me has been amazing, where if someone's built an app, I get to see it. I get an email notification to say, okay, someone's built an app. Let me contact them. So, I feel that you just don't leave the information and don't do anything about it. You'll always need that people side of it as well. You need that communication so you can talk to them and say, look, I'm here. I can support you. What you're trying to build, okay, and that's what's helped Heathrow doing this bit with the whole governance bit.
So it's about a regular communication channel open, whether it's, sometimes there are, and again, when we are talking about the people aspect, there will be some proactive people, there will be, but introverts as well. So some ideas will be there. So to keep that channel open, to have that regular, communication, to keep checking what are the different ideas. So one thing is about you might be having the data, the business data, internal data. What about external? There could be something you want to study about your market, your competitors. So again, keep a check about that. And you can also create an app by integrating, depending on what kind of, the data that is available in Excel format. Maybe you can integrate that bit with your organization and see and analyze this market, analyze competitors, keep analyzing the strengths and weaknesses that you can bring up to and maybe present to you, bring a best idea that you can take on. I'm keeping an eye on the questions as well. I haven't seen any question coming up so far. But yeah, we can continue the discussion a little bit longer to see if there is anyone having any question. But otherwise, feel free to reach out to us over LinkedIn, and we will be happy to ask any further questions. So just to divert a little bit about the systems thinking and the business model, about the processes. So sometimes it's about what kind of processes you want to change. Sometimes it's about it. When we are talking about the emerging technologies or emerging risks and issues, you need to think about the new ways of working. So maybe the existing processes or existing business model might not work in the new meeting the emerging risks and issues. So thinking about that, that's also about bringing that processes, how you can streamline your processes, and that might help. But so maybe this is starting how to empower yourself to solve the business challenges. And we were talking about creating business apps. But not necessarily just it stops there, because you have to have that conversation continuously going, whether internally or you want to have that externally, to see what are the different opportunities, what are the different ideas that you might have to bring that in space. Form a team, form a focus team, and have that regular communication. Even if sometimes it's useful if you have that informal communication, so because sometimes if you try to formalize quite a lot of the ideas, it depends on the organization or culture as well. So think about where you can have a area or idea bank or something like that, so that you can see through all the different kind of ideas coming up. And some organizations have also done that as an incubator process, so where you get in all the ideas and try to select the best ideas or promote some kind of innovation within the organization, create some kind of reward for the ideas that has been selected, so that you can create an app or you meet those business challenges and meet that strategic objective. Does it resonate to London Heathrow Summit?
Absolutely, absolutely agree.
Totally. Okay, I haven't seen any kind of questions coming up.
So I got one here. It says, I do pronounce. So I don't know how to pronounce your name, but can the business lose control of process and control of data if Power Apps can be created directly with a SharePoint list or like? So again, if you're looking at the central excellence and you're getting these email notifications to see what apps have been built, then you get to see what connectors also been where the apps have been connected with. Now we have a system in place where you're unable to connect to a SharePoint list unless you have access to it. So we have a SharePoint SME. So if you want to build an app, we need to see, you can contact us and say why you need to build this app for, and then we can decide what data source you would need. Now, the reason we do this is because, one, you don't want to create an app with SharePoint that has GDPR data. And like one of my colleagues and one of my friends that says that SharePoint is not just for data, it's not a data source. And that's why we've got to look into the pros of using SharePoint and the pros of using things like Dataverse, which we also use. I mean, SharePoint is good in certain ways, but for holding a large amount of data, it's not good. Also, especially with sensitive data, we wouldn't choose SharePoint as well. We use Dataverse, and that's why you have to again intervene, look at the central excellence, make sure that you have the checks in place where if someone is building an app, you get an email notification to see what apps have been built. Will help you have control of what the apps that are being built within your organization. Secondly, always build that community within your organization if you're building apps, so that way people can have a place to talk about what they're trying to build and so on. But going back to the question about connections and SharePoint list, it's very important to have someone who has that administration bit where they get to control who gets to connect with what SharePoint list and what access do they have for it. So I hope that question helps. If not, just send me another comment and I'll deep dive even more.
Sounds good. I think there was another question. What is your main advice for someone just getting started with Power Platform? So in terms of just getting started with Power Platform, there are lots of community help that you can get. And it's also about where do you want to start, and creating a Power App, as Samit has shown, it's just like follow a couple of steps and there are lots of material, there are lots of resources available from Microsoft. Watch the videos and you will be able to find out. To start with very simple, don't try to complicate at the first step. Try to start very simple and just try to bring in the layers of complexity later. So yeah, if there are anything that you have thought about to meet the business challenges, you should start simple.
Absolutely, there's so much resource out there. You got Microsoft Learn, so you got, I think, doc.microsoft .learn. It's an amazing place where you can learn step by step about the Power Platform, or and that's where I go to as well now, because there's so much learning that is there in this website that if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, it's the best place to go to. It's a place where you can get certification as well. So I'd advise anyone who's starting the Power Platform journey to go there. If you go on Twitter, you got a huge community of Power Platform enthusiastic people. You can use the hashtags and you can see people who talk about Power Platform all the time. You can do hashtag Power Addicts. You got people who are showcasing, if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, showcasing monthly what they're creating, best tips, and so on. So again, when I started the journey of using Power Platform, I just reached out to people on Twitter. I direct messaged them. I said, could you help me? I'm stuck at this. Or went on LinkedIn. And honestly, there's an amazing community that are willing to give the time to help you and support you. And so I would advise anyone, don't be shy, just reach out. There's so many places you can go and ask for help or learn from. And if you still are stuck, just reach out to me or Lipi.
I think the other good thing is that if we don't know the answer, we will connect you with someone definitely within the community. And that's a great thing about this community. We have people everywhere. If not in our direct link, there will be someone we can find it out for you. There is a very interesting question for you, Samit. If you have to learn something new, what would that be after Power Platform, now that you have completed Power Platform?
I'm currently learning about Azure and AI. I love Azure. I think it's an amazing platform. There's so much information there, but I mean, since learning about the Power Platform, I do love the data, and I want to see how we can utilize the data. And so you got the Azure data lake, AI, machine learning, all of that. It's a whole full of information that. How do we utilize the information that we gathered? And that's where I want to move towards, because I feel like I'm really interested in that. And so I want to see how I can use the Power Platform, my knowledge, and use Azure and use Azure and AI and bring that together. So that's where my full energy is at the moment.
Great. And within Power Platform, is there any particular area that you would like to focus on?
So I would say, I mean, they're all equally. I love it all equally. Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate, but I feel like Power Automate as well is where I like to focus more of my attention on, because it's like it's so powerful, but it doesn't get mentioned a lot. But you can do so much with Power Automate as well. But like I said, they're all equally the same to me, because they all work hand in hand. If you put them all together, it's an amazing platform. So I would say those three.
So thank you, everyone. If there is any further question? Not really. I think we are still good on time. We can take one more question, but I think the last point you mentioned about AI, just to touch upon and to also linking it back with Power Platform, I think all we are looking at is, mentioned in this session as well, so the proactive versus reactive. So now the data that we have to take informed decision. We are taking that decision based on the data we have. But if we can do a lot of intelligence around that and bringing in AI and also Power Platform, I think it can be powerful, it can be enriching, and a lot of business decisions or business models can be created based on those decisions, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, but for me, it's great to start something, and learning never stops. So for me, it's just I should keep on learning now, and I just like to thank everyone who's helped me in my journey, who's made me so um, helped me along my journey, that made me inspired to keep on learning. And without the Power Platform and the community, I wouldn't have this passion to learn. So, just take that first step and learn something new, and you just don't know where it will take you.